Please note that this talking scrapbook contains images of people who have died. A souvenir of my trip inland. Extracts from the diary of Nell Small. Thursday, April the 15th, 1926. Left Sydney with Pope by limited 7:45 for Melbourne, en route to Alice Springs. Crowd down to see us off, including Coast Girls and AIM office team. Had many presents. Travelling felt off colour. Too much excitement. Arrived Melbourne. Had trouble with luggage. Overweight. Did some shopping. Flo showed Pope and I over the Alfred. In our opinion, does not come up to the coast, but could not say so in case we hurt feelings. Melbourne people better churchgoers than Sydney folk. Also, take life far more seriously. Day has arrived to make last break with all friends. We'll be glad when we can deposit all our luggage at Alice Springs, as it seems to grow instead of lessen. Arrive Adelaide about 10 a.m. Had morning tea at Piccadilly, made our list of emergency drugs, then did some shopping. We were both frightfully tired and went to bed to die instead of sleep at 9:30 p.m. Up at 5:30, reluctant risers. Train for Oodnadatta left 7:15 a.m. Country altogether different from Victoria and New South Wales. Changed trains at Tarauri to narrow gauge. Funny little train, but comfortable to travel in. Arrived at Corn, had tea at railway refreshment room. Changed trains once more. The scenery only changed from bad to worse. The abomination of desolation, as Mrs. K put it. We're more than happy for journey to end. Train due to arrive at Oodnadatta at 8 p.m. 24th of April. Managed to crawl in to Oodnadatta exactly 10 hours late. Went to bed and slept soundly till 3 p.m. Met the ladies of the town during afternoon tea at Man's. They seem a happy, united community. A Bushman's Club has been formed, which is much appreciated by the men. They come in, write and read at their leisure while staying away from the public house. Sunday the 25th. Both Pope and I very tired. Mr. Flynn expected, so quite an assembly turned up to hear him. But no Mr. Flynn. Sister McNeil conducted service. Cannot form any opinion yet whether I like Oodnadatta. Mr. Flynn arrived about 4:30 p.m, looking extremely tired. Met a Mr. Farrell who was in for dressings to his hand. He has promised me a quart pot. In a bushman's opinion, absolutely necessary for the track. After tea, everybody busy writing letters for tomorrow. The train departs for a fortnight. Mr. Flynn went to bed about 6 a.m. No talk of our departure yet. The hostel is not near finished, but I am longing to see my new home and to start work again. Presented with a quart pot from a married man. Mr. Flynn bought Pope one, but she does not know who the donor is. During afternoon, visited Miss Smith at Aboriginal Mission Station. The sisters here work for faith. They must possess a lot of it, for there does not seem to be much of anything else about their station. They are sincere folk, and I believe doing some good work. Mr. Flynn has been working on the car all week, getting it ready for the track. So today we had a trial trip to Allendale, a station belonging to Sir Sidney Kidman. There is no road, just a track all the way. The car is beautifully comfortable, and I am longing to commence our journey, which has been fixed for Monday. Mr. Jones brought us bad news of the road. There has been rain. so it means a few more days here. We are very comfortable and am beginning to like the place. The evenings are wonderful. The air seems so pure and clean, and the moonlight. Our trip put off indefinitely. Mr. Flynn says we may set off tomorrow, but it remains to be seen. I'm getting far too many headaches. Came to conclusion it must be glare and absence of green that is causing it. Played Mahjong. Do not think Mr. Flynn approves of the game, but I do not see any harm in it played as we play it. Believe that we are starting tomorrow. Feel sorry in a way to be leaving. Hope we are both as successful with our work at Alice Springs as the two sisters in Oodnadatta are. Don't think we'll get off today. Mr. Flynn has letters to write. This going is getting a bit of a joke. Mr. Flynn looks as though a day in bed would do him good. Still at Oodnadatta. We would like to stay and see the train come in, but Mr. Flynn has sent a telegram saying we are starting tomorrow. Things look more serious. Friday the 7th. We are really off. Bade goodbye to Oodnadatta. Bogged at Hamilton Bore twice. Reached Bloods Creek 11 p.m. Saturday the 8th of May. Tried to extract tooth of Mary Roper. Failed. Forceps not big enough. Mary a brick and let me have a really good try. Started off for Charlotte Waters. Country looked nice and green. Had afternoon tea and off again for New Crown. Had another cup of tea and our tucker bag was filled and off to Old Crown. Couldn't find anybody about, so started for Horseshoe Bend. Arrived 12:30 to find that Mr. S of Old Crown was very ill, so decided to go back. Had 2 punches in 1 hour. Sunday the 9th. Put off some luggage and started back for Old Crown. Arrived here 2:15 a.m. Found patient rather ill and evidently malignant. Made him as comfortable as possible. About 4 p.m. we started back for Oodnadatta. Roads dreadful on account of dumping rain. Carburettor of car getting trouble. Mr. Flynn fixing it. Arrived Bloods Creek about 8:30 p.m. Had tea. Mr. Francis kindly offered to come with us in case of a bog, but a few miles further on met Mr. Wolfe and party going north. Most exciting meeting these travellers in the night. We arrived at Oodnadatta at 4:30 a.m. Very glad to get back again and have a bath. Plans made to start our journey on Friday, which I suppose means about Monday. Did our washing during the morning, and clothes turned out dirtier than we put them in. Came to conclusion we are bad laundresses. Mr. Flynn looks very tired and in need of rest. Bed 11:20. Late hours are growing on me now. Thursday the 13th. Still no definite plans for moving on. Am longing for my home letters, which are at Alice Springs, so do hope we get on the road soon. Midnight again before we went to bed. Word came through that Joan Roper had been fitting, made up our minds that we would try and get away, but too late and are now going tomorrow. Tomorrow is here. Tried for an early start, but as per usual it was a late one. 3 p.m. we started off with a fairly heavy load. All went well until a few miles from Hamilton Bore and we bogged, well and truly. We worked hard until midnight, carting stones to put under wheels and helping to lever the car up. Then we gave up and got a fire going, made toast and had some tea from our quarter pots, set our rugs about and tried to sleep until daybreak. Flies dreadful. Sunday. had breakfast, and again helped Mr. Flynn to get car out of hole. Delightful when we moved a few inches. By 12 midday we got out. It was glorious to be in motion once more. Got an early start north to keep close to B. McCoy, who was in front of us. On to Horseshoe Bend, arriving about 6 p.m. Tired, ready for tea. Mr. Flynn looking very yellow and washed out after the work of levering the car out of the bog. All went to bed early. Glad to hear that we are not going on today. The rest will do us all good. Mr. Flynn not at all well, and right hand very swollen. Bathed it several times during day. Pope kept to bed for the morning. Plenty of blacks around the bend, gathering to go upriver for some ceremony of their own. Off again tomorrow is Mr. Johansson and Mr. Irvine going north. Started about 9 a.m. Mr. Johansson and Mr. Irvine took some of the luggage. Arrived at Deepwell Station, the home of Mr. Johansson, about 4:30, and glad of its sight. A hot bath awaited us, which we welcomed. Retired early. It was midday before we got on the road, and before we had gone 1 mile we had a blowout, and after fixing it, found that it had a puncture. After an hour, Mr. Johansson came to our rescue, and we were soon on the road again. Arrived Alice Springs, 4:30 p.m. How disappointed we were to find the hostel not ready for residents yet. Went along to Mrs. Adamson, where we are to stay until place is finished. Friday the 21st. Had another inspection of our home and feel worried about the party coming up next month. We fully expected that we would be able to cook and look after them from hostel, but as things are, it seems improbable. Still, one does not know what a month will bring forth. During afternoon went for a walk to top of hill in front of Wilkinson's and had view of township. Then called on Charlie Saturday, an Afghan who keeps a garden. He promises to supply us with vegetables gratis. During the evening went to choir practice at schoolroom. Tuesday, the 25th. Nothing wonderful happened. Paid our usual daily inspection to building to see how it is progressing. Wednesday, the 26th. Played tennis during afternoon. Evening went to Mrs. Jones and spent a very pleasant one teaching them to play mahjong. He has sent for a set for himself. Had to leave early to do Mr. Flynn's hand. The 28th and the 29th of May. Went to Gap to see lime kiln being prepared. Evening at Mr. Flynn's camp to listen to wireless, but not a success. Wrote several letters. Went with timber cutters to Pine Gap. Wireless going at a Mr. Adamson's. Went to Mrs. Jones for evening. When we got home 10:45, Mr. Flynn working as usual. Thursday, the 3rd of June. Pearl Price left on horseback to go 1,250 miles north. Her brother Alf is keeping her company on camel. He is only 14. They have a black boy for company. Do not think that a child Pearl's age should be allowed to travel alone. King's birthday kept up. Our home progressing very slowly, and am feeling worried about comfort of visitors. It is only a fortnight now. Scaled Mount Gillen with Mr. and Mrs. Herbert, Pope, Colin Kramer, Mrs. Stott, myself and a black tracker. It was some climb, but worth it in the end. Very few white women been there. Wednesday the 23rd. Made 3 puddings during morning. Mr. Giles brought in with rheumatic fever and put in garage. Mr. Sigmund collapsed and died 6 p.m. Saturday, the 26th of June. Opening a great success. Never felt so dressed up and pampered in all my life. Everything went smoothly. During evening we had a scratch concert and a dance in moonlight. After clearing away and setting breakfast, went for a spin with Mr. Littlejohn, Pope and Mr. Windle, and arrived home 1:45, tired out. Sunday, the 27th of June. Very tired. Cooking takes it out of you, so decided to have a rest this afternoon and jibbed on Sunday school. Mr. Flynn drove us home and, to our surprise, called for us again. Had wonderful service and communion, which was very impressive. We are wicked girls. Mr. Flynn wanted to take us home, and we did not know how to shake him off, as Mr. Littlejohn wanted to take us out for a spin again with Phil Windle. It was very amusing to see Mr. Littlejohn have a word with our John, who bade us good night. I would like to know what happened. Went for a spin which freshened us up wonderfully, in bed by 11:15 p.m.
Nell Small's diary ends on the 28th of June 1926. At the end of her posting, Nell married Mr. Littlejohn, the local policeman. Her colleague, Ina Pope, married another local, Bill McCoy, the mailman. Both women spent most of their married lives in the Territory.
This talking scrapbook was created by Meg Kellum, with financial support from the Regional Museum Support Grant Program, Museum and Art Gallery, NT.